I think stuff to do with family overwhelms me quite a bit. You know, worry or, stress around family side of things. That does overwhelm me quite a bit. In a move that stunned the world, Prince William stepped out of the shadows to deliver a statement so definitive it ended any hope of Meghan Markle's return to royal life. What circumstances could push the future king to speak so plainly and permanently close a door that had long remained ajar? This isn't another private family conflict swept under the rug. It's a public irreversible verdict broadcast with rare clarity. From diplomatic pressures to personal sacrifices, today we explore the extraordinary decisions that brought the British monarchy to this tragic crossroads. William's unprecedented statement. The morning of December 2, 2024, marked a historic moment, when Prince William took the rare step of personally issuing a statement that would reshape the future of the British monarchy. I am optimistic. I'm generally a very optimistic person. The message was clear and irrevocable. There would be no pathway for Meghan Markle's return to the royal family in any capacity. Unlike the carefully worded and often diplomatic statements the palace usually releases, this announcement bore William's direct name, highlighting just how serious and final the decision was. Within minutes, newsrooms around the world buzzed with disbelief, and even seasoned royal correspondents called the statement unprecedented. The weight of this announcement rippled far beyond royal circles. As one palace insider explained in reporting by Cosmopolitan, William's stance toward the Sussexes has hardened to the point that he views the Sussexes brand as already worthless. It wasn't simply a family matter anymore. It had become a matter of institutional clarity and public record. I think it's safe to say that change is on my agenda. Change for good. And I embrace that. I enjoy that change. I don't fear it. That's the bit that excites me. William's personal involvement sent a powerful message that the monarchy was drawing a firm line, and it prompted widespread reactions ranging from shock to support. Yet behind the finality lay a deeper story of mounting pressures and difficult decisions that had built up over months. Pressures that forced William to speak so definitively for the first time. The forces pushing William to make such a bold declaration had been intensifying behind the scenes for many months. The hidden pressures on the monarchy. For much of 2024, the royal family grappled quietly with escalating complications surrounding the Sussexes. With these issues bleeding into every corner of palace life, media scrutiny had reached an unprecedented level, with well-timed negative stories often coinciding suspiciously with major engagements, especially those involving Catherine. Royal analyst Kinsey Schofield described how palace teams increasingly view this pattern as intentional, pointing out while Prince William was in Brazil, reports surfaced that Meghan Markle had been spotted. The pattern is something his team is acutely aware of. These were not isolated incidents, but part of what palace insiders believed was coordinated interference designed to undermine the institution. Catherine's growing concern about these patterns, shared during a private meeting with William, was a turning point in recognizing that this was no longer organic gossip, but strategic media manipulation. At the same time, security teams were dealing with increasing threats directed not only at senior royals, but personally targeting Catherine. Intelligence briefings revealed a surge in coordinated negative online campaigns, some crossing into serious territory that required formal assessment. The strain extended beyond public relations. Legal advisors warned of the risks posed by ambiguous relationships that could result in claims or conflicts down the line. King Charles, already managing his own health and the early burdens of his reign, found himself caught between his love for Harry and the practical need to safeguard the institution's stability. I'm so proud of my wife and my father for how they've handled all of last year. My children have managed brilliantly as well. This complex web of pressures, media manipulation, security concerns, legal risks, and royal health mounting in parallel with diplomatic unease abroad created a volatile environment no longer manageable by silence or vague statements. The palace was forced into decisive action as the cumulative strain threatened not just family unity, but the monarchy's ability to function effectively. This turbulence set the stage for a more personal dimension of the crisis involving those closest to William and the family. Amid these external and institutional pressures, the role of Catherine and family dynamics became increasingly pivotal. Catherine's role and family dynamics. Throughout this turbulent period, Catherine's experiences and observations played a central role in shaping William's perspective and eventual decision. She encountered a disturbing pattern in the media synchronized with her public initiatives, signaling to her that there was a concerted effort to destabilize not only the royal family's image, but her own contributions and causes. Catherine's candid articulation of these concerns to William in early November brought a new sense of urgency. She highlighted how the constant barrage of negative and strategic attacks was eroding more than public perception. It was harming their family's well-being. William's protective instincts were deeply engaged by Catherine's struggles, adding a personal urgency to the already complex institutional considerations. Watching the constant media storms and recognizing how these attacks extended beyond headlines, impacting security and personal relationships, he realized that the old ways of managing family tensions were no longer sufficient. Conversations with Catherine, combined with his father's challenges and the public scrutiny of his own children, created a powerful incentive to act decisively rather than continue in a cycle of speculation and uncertainty. This family dimension infused William's approach with gravity. It was no longer about managing public narratives, but safeguarding those he loved most. "I want to create a world in which my son is proud of what we do in a world and a job that actually does impact people's lives for the better." The dynamic between William and Catherine illustrated a deeply human component beneath the royal protocols and strategic considerations. Their shared resolve underscored that protecting immediate family and, by extension, the monarchy's future required drawing clear, unambiguous boundaries, setting the stage for the formal decisions still to come. The legal and institutional framework would soon demand clear boundaries to cement these decisions. Legal and institutional risks. Behind the scenes, the royal household faced mounting concerns about the risks tied to maintaining ambiguity around Meghan Markle's status within the royal family. In early November, palace legal advisors conducted a thorough review that highlighted multiple areas of vulnerability. Unclear relationship boundaries presented potential legal exposures, such as claims regarding informal agreements or misunderstandings about expectations. Security risks loomed as well, especially when it came to international trips, where undefined status could complicate protections and protocols. Beyond these, reputational and constitutional risks threatened to tarnish the monarchy's carefully cultivated image and raise questions about succession and royal roles in the future. Faced with this reality, the legal team's recommendation was unequivocal. The monarchy needed firm, clear, and legally binding boundaries to prevent ongoing disputes and institutional instability. Maintaining vague or hopeful positions, they warned only prolonged exposure to avoidable risks. This clear-eyed legal assessment forced the palace, including Prince William and King Charles, to confront uncomfortable truths about the risks of leaving the Sussex situation unresolved. For an institution rooted in tradition and order, this kind of uncertainty was untenable and increasingly opened the door to potential complications or public damage. Increasingly, the pressures converged beyond legal risks and institutional concerns, landing squarely on the international stage. International diplomatic concerns. By late 2024, Britain's diplomatic partners were quietly signaling concern about the Sussex turmoil and its impact on the monarchy's global image. A senior Foreign Office diplomat sought urgent talks in November, warning that allied nations were increasingly uneasy. Palling showed growing awareness of royal dysfunction and declining confidence in the monarchy as a stable cultural and diplomatic symbol. What began as a family dispute had become a matter affecting international relationships and British soft power. Though allies made no direct demands, the message was clear. The situation required resolution. For William, preparing to inherit a role defined by global diplomacy, these warnings carried significant weight. If world leaders questioned his ability to manage family unity, they might doubt his capacity to navigate larger international challenges. Combined with mounting legal and familial pressures, this foreign unease made one reality undeniable. The unresolved Sussex situation threatened Britain's standing, leaving William choice but to act decisively. The personal cost of this decision, however, would weigh most heavily on those closest to the issue. The personal cost and future impact. Prince William's decisive statement severing Meghan Markle's ties to the royal family carried a deeply personal weight. After months of mounting tensions, he accepted that continued ambiguity was harming those closest to him: Catherine, their children, and the monarchy itself. His message was not about blame, but about drawing a necessary boundary to protect the institution and his family. For Meghan, the announcement ended any possibility of returning to royal life. It immediately removed access to security, official support, and future ceremonial participation involving her children. Strategically, it closed the final door she might have hoped to reopen. This moment highlights the collision between personal relationships and long-standing institutions. Royal commentator Kinsey Schofield noted that William's plans leave no future role for the Sussexes or their children. It's utterly absurd to believe their children might one day choose to become working royals. Sometimes leadership requires accepting that certain doors must close forever. Prince William's statement was a turning point not just for the royal family, but for how institutions balance personal and public responsibilities. It made clear that some separations, no matter how tragic, are necessary for stability. If you found this insight valuable, please like the video and subscribe for more in-depth royal stories and analysis. Thanks for watching.